the Radio Today podcast with Jen Seyderhelm.
Hi and welcome. I don't know what it's like at your place, but it is pouring at my place. Stay safe and out of the floodwater if you are affected. In this podcast, Sandon stirs the pot at SCA and an ongoing ATO audit for Nova. 2TM flicks the switch to FM in Tamworth. The Nova Network's Ben, Liam and Belle head home to Adelaide. Jack Post departs the Christian O'Connell Show, and the National Radio Airplay Chart Song of the Week. Australian-based activist investment firm Sandon Capital buy shares in companies they perceive as undervalued and underperforming to influence their boards to take action. They have done so in Southern Cross Media Group Limited, SCA, and executed notices seeking to remove 4 non-executive directors at the next general meeting. Sandon didn't ask for a general meeting at that time because a few days later, in a request to the Australian Government Takeovers Panel, they sought to have restrictions on the 6.83% of shareholders held by ARN Media Limited from voting at that general meeting to be overturned. The order is aimed at avoiding a conflict of interest that arose because unlisted fund manager Alan Gray is a shareholder in both Southern Cross and ARN. The conflict would have arisen when ARN was proposing to take over SCA because Alan Gray could have ended up siding with one or the other of the shareholder groups in a vote. No decision has been made by the Takeovers Panel on the current request from Sandon Capital at this stage, and hence no general meeting yet. Of late, particularly in 2025, Nova Entertainment CEO Peter Charlton, Smooth's Head of Programming Peter Clay, and Group Program Director Brendan Taylor have been able to bask in ratings success, while the other major radio players like ARN, SCA and Nine have dealt with takeover bids, TV asset sales, redundancies, workplace culture reviews, and a so far underperforming highly paid duos show in Melbourne. But there is an ongoing shadow there too, a 2-year audit by the ATO, Australian Tax Office. The audit is taking place after a failure to file more than 40 annual account statements with ASIC, the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, across the 15 years since Lachlan Murdoch first purchased an interest in DMG Radio Australia back in 2009. The errors were discovered after current Chief Financial Officer Georgia Byrne joined Nova 6 years ago and conducted an internal review, according to the Australian Financial Review's Sam Buckingham-Jones. Fixing the issue would have cost up to $6 million, so Nova applied to the federal court with the argument that it was an honest mistake that current and former directors and management shouldn't be liable for. Last month, the court agreed. Murdoch's company Illyria took over DMG Radio fully in 2012 and became Nova Entertainment in Feb 2014, around the same time that Murdoch was rumoured to be looking to offload the network. There are a number of companies in the Nova Entertainment group, which has caused the compliance complexity. The way Nova is set up under Illyria means that the 3 Australian companies that hold Nova's broadcast licences are listed as operating in the UK, a legacy that goes back to when they were owned by British company DMG. Nova Entertainment pays royalty fees for exclusive use agreements of the licences, along with a range of related party loans and interest, making it hard to publicly gauge how much profit the Australian Radio Group actually earns. Those UK companies pay tax at the British 25% rate, rather than the 30% corporate tax rate in Australia. Post-tax amounts are distributed to Nova's holding companies as dividends. The publicly lodged accounts show the Nova Group earning $187.8 million revenue and making $24.1 million profit in the 2024 calendar year, up from the previous one. The company has 440 employees and paid $5.4 million in tax last year. There is no suggestion that Illyria or Nova Entertainment executives have done anything illegal, with a spokesperson telling us Nova Entertainment takes its obligations seriously and is confident that its affairs are compliant with all relevant requirements and appropriately managed. It's already been a big 2025 for the Super Radio Network station 2TM in Tamworth, celebrating 90 years, the 53rd Tamworth Country Music Festival, and a new general manager in Steve Nicholas. Now, a new era has begun, with the station beginning its transition to FM and a new name, TMFM 95.5. The frequency was switched on Monday, May 19, and the official launch is June 16, where the 1287 AM will be heard for the last time. Ben, Liam and Belle are heading home to Adelaide later this year with their Nova Entertainment networked Late Drive program continuing on as usual, but without executive producer Ben McDowell. Ben and Liam, Ben Harvey and Liam Stapleton, started out on Fresh 92.7 as the Adelaide community station's first full-time breakfast show. They were picked up at Triple J and hosted breakfast there for 3 years. At the start of 2020, they were given the opportunity by Nova to move back home, bringing their producer Belle Jackson with them to Nova 919 Breakfast. Then, after stints hosting Summer Breakfast, the duo added Belle to the lineup and moved to Melbourne and Nova 100 at the end of 2022, replacing On Breakfast Chrissy, Sam and Brownie. The shift to Late Drive happened early last year when Jason Lauren joined Nova 100 from KISS 101.1. Producer Ben McDowell announced the move and that he would be remaining in Melbourne on LinkedIn. Nova had no comment when we reached out to them. And after 7 years as part of the team, Jack Post is calling time on his journey with Gold 104.3's The Christian O'Connell Show, with this week his last. Jack cut his teeth at Melbourne community station SYN FM as a teenager before going on to work with radio's powerhouse team of Hamish Blake and Andy Lee, who he still works with on occasion. The announcement came as a surprise, apparently to Christian too, with a swift end. Apparently Jack doesn't have anything lined up next, with Christian launching a nationwide search for a new team member. Also, ARN have said that in the next few weeks, Christian will be sharing some big news about the future of the show. Perhaps all connected? We shall see. G-Flip is back, and Disco Cowgirl is the RCS-MM National Radio Airplay Chart Song of the Week, and it's literally only been out a week properly after several teasers from G-Flip. It debuted with 200 plays, and I love the 80s pop, drums that G-Flip is known for, with a pinch of country. Watch this one on 2025's Triple J Hottest 100.
So I took an arrow straight to the heart, hot shot. And she whispered to me in the dark for one night, I'll rock your world, but don't go falling for a country girl. Oh, I can still see your face.
And that's all for today. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch you next time.
Radio Today with Jen Seyderhelm. Find more at radiotoday.com.au.